Hello and welcome to Shades of San Diego. I'm Deanna Guevara. This show explores the wide array of people, ideas, and cultures that thrive in our diverse community. On today's show, we take a look at a community that may come as a surprise to some of you. The French community is alive and well in San Diego. During the next half hour, we'll learn more about this celebrated culture from commerce to cuisine. Our first guest has established strong links within SD's French community through language and literature. I'd like to welcome Dr. Michelle Magna to the show. Welcome, Michelle.
Hello, Diana.
Well, first off, Michelle, you are actually a professor at University San Diego, right?
That's correct, yes.
So how did you start to get involved in the French community here?
Well, when I first came to San Diego, I felt it was really far from France, and I had lived on the East Coast first. And coming to San Diego was a bit of a cultural shock, and I thought I should keep up with my French roots. So I went to UCSD and got a PhD there in literature, and that was one way of keeping in touch with my culture.
And you're a huge academic. You know a lot about the history of the first settlers here in San Diego, the French settlers, that is. How did they, when did that all happen?
Well, there are several waves, and what's interesting is the common points between then and now. The first actual French person to come to California was La Pérouse, and he was sent on a mission, a scientific mission, by King Louis XVI. And today in the community we know that there are a lot of French scientists who are in La Jolla doing research and so forth. So it's interesting to see the continuity in the history. The gold rush was a huge draw,
right.
And for two reasons actually, not just for the gold rush, but shortly thereafter, that was 1848 to 1849 where it was the biggest rush. Well, in France at the time we had the Second Republic, but it was very short-lived, and those who were striving to have a democracy in France were very disappointed in 1851 when Napoleon III established a Second Empire. And so that was another wave also of people to come. But he also sent people to establish businesses in California. And then there were the trappers from Canada.
So there's very strong ties, here in the French community, strong roots here in San Diego. When did the Alliance Française come about?
Well, there was a first French club or French cultural association that it was established after the First World War, but it really started right after the Second World War as the Alliance Française, which had been created in Paris in the late 19th century. So today it's still striving, and we have a locale in Sorrento Valley. We have French classes and conferences, and the ambassador of France came and inaugurated it last year, earlier this year. So there's a strong tie around the Alliance Française.
And you mentioned French schools, like there's a French school in La Jolla.
Right, there are several. If you want to study in French, you can either go to the French American school in La Jolla. You can also go to La Petite École if your children are younger. And there's also the Language Academy, where the American program is taught in French, and that's one of the public schools of San Diego that has a French immersion program.
And the interesting about it is these are all not of, the people that go to these schools are not all of French descent.
Absolutely not. No, it's really interesting that French is a draw, not just for French families who are here for just a few years and want their children to continue with their curriculum, but also for American families, but it's very international. It's not, sometimes there are Mexican families or from all over the world who are drawn to these schools.
And there's a strong interest. You see a strong interest in the French community here in San Diego, from language to culture and such.
Right. Well, we see it through the programs, the French programs in the universities, UCSD, USD, San Diego State. Those are very strong programs, and they draw a lot of attention to French. And around those programs, there are also very strong ties with the consulate in Los Angeles, who sends speakers and on tour in the United States, but they, sometimes come all the way to San Diego. So,
wow.
As past president of the Alliance Française, I hosted some very famous and very, exceptional people like Michel Serres, the philosopher, or artists and writers.
Right. Who knew? The French community here in San Diego, right underneath us, and a lot of people wouldn't have known. Thank you for joining us today and
You're
educating
very welcome.
us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, still much more to come on Shades of San Diego, from French cuisine to a performance you won't want to miss. But first, we'll learn more about the history of a major French holiday and how its significance is celebrated in San Diego. We'll be right back.